So now we're on page 4, which involves cylinders and various other little bits and bobs. We don't actually need the chassis at all, we can put that to one side, but we'll do the cylinders as sub-assemblies. Although they're not handed as they come, we have to assemble them left and right hand for the two different sides of the engine. So just bear that in mind. And also, we don't have gaskets with this kit. We're using a sealant. I've got this Loctite 2400 sealant, which I put a little skim of round when I put the covers on, and I also used it on the bottom of the steam chest here. So that's just something to bear in mind as you're assembling it. One of the parts here is the little reverser stand, and those I'm keeping separate for the moment because I put that together as a separate unit. So I've got the cylinders out and I'm looking at the various components. I've lined up the O-rings which will go on the pistons, stainless screws for the covers, there's more O-rings for the glands as well, and the covers themselves, those are front covers, so they will go on that way with a little touch of sealant on them. I've put one cylinder together just as a guide, and now I'll run through the assembly on the second one. Bear in mind they are left and right handed, so I'm building them as though they're on the loco. I put the O-ring on the piston, and now I've got to get the piston into the cylinder. It's a pretty snug fit, so a little spot of oil really helps it to get on its way. And once that's in, you've got the covers. There's 2 covers on each cylinder. The first one goes on like so with an O-ring seal. Second one then goes on the top, and we need some sealant on the first bottom of the cylinder. I need to put some sealant around there. Having got that on with the stainless nuts, we can then put the crosshead on. That just simply screws on, and we've got 2 slide bars to go top and bottom of the crosshead, and they're not identical. One's got a little thread in it for the lubricator that goes on the top of the slide bar, and we've also got these little slippers, and they fit either side of the crosshead, top and bottom, so you've got to remember to put those on as you're assembling it, and then the slide bars fit on top. I've got this cylinders assembled up. Note the crosshead has a little boss on this side but is flat on the other side, and when they're complete they should be able to just run to and fro quite nicely. Put your finger over the steamway, it won't go. That's because they're really nice and steam tight. And then we move on to the reverser, which is a stand and a lever, and it's got a couple of these little E-clips. This one in particular is quite difficult because you've got to hold the spring down while you get the E-clip on. There's a good chance of that one pinging around the workshop. And once that's assembled, we've got the reach rod to go on there, and there's another bolt to go in so the reverser actually springs out over the bolt. Well, we're now back on page 5 with the chassis. So we've got the lubricator which fits in the front hip, and I fitted that little brass ferrule and a union nut on. I'm going to put a little spot of sealant on that pipe, and then that will screw in at the front and connect on to the main steamway. And I've also fitted some of the dummy springing and brake gear on here. I've done this side, but I've yet to do the other. And these are the various parts for that brake gear. We've got, oh, there's the spring. Yeah, these can need a little bit of tweaking about. They're quite soft and you can just pull them to shape. and then the equalising bar, that one, is going to come out. He goes right across the middle, and some really tiny screws for those, so check your numbers on the top. They all correspond to the diagrams. We've completed page 5 by finishing off the brake rigging and the dummy brake handles and so on, and that means now we're on to page 6.